Welcome to Katie Calls BS, the podcast where we cut through the noise in course creation, digital products, and business strategy. I'm Katie Miller, bringing you blunt advice, real action steps, and the occasional F-bomb because building a business is hard and the BS isn't helping. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Katie Calls BS. Every summer, business owners start having the same thoughts. The rhythm is about to shift because school is getting out. Schedules are changing, kids are going to be home, travel plans are happening, and that carefully structured routine that we have during the school year is about to disappear for a couple months. We usually see the same information floating around. Batch more, wake up earlier, be more disciplined, work around your kid's schedule. No, we do that already. This isn't about your time management. This is genuinely stressful. I love the summer schedule, but it's also a little different because of the summer slowdown. I've talked about this before. I've done episodes on this before. This one's going to be different. The summer season is similar to when we have seasons in life where health situations happen, burnout, grief, a move, a chapter in life that requires more of you than your business currently allows. Every one of these moments shows whether your business can handle you stepping back or not. A business designed around you showing up constantly, your constant availability, and your constant output, that sounds exhausting. Is that what you want to be doing? We're calling BS on this type of strategy, whether the kind of business you're building has room for your life. The majority of us, and I'm talking about parents, started a business for flexibility. Summer is our time to shine. Our businesses go through ups and downs. A healthy business should be able to flex with your life. If your business completely falls apart every time life shifts, that's not freedom. That's dependency. We talk a lot in the online business world about building a business that gives you flexibility, about being your own boss and designing a life you love. I see too many people getting away from that. They build businesses dependent on being available all the time, responsive 24/7 and present every single day. Businesses where the revenue stops the second they stop working. Businesses where a slow week doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels dangerous. Where taking a vacation is less of a break and more of an exercise in anxiety management. That's not freedom. That's dependency. It happens all the time in the online business world. And running a business is not sunshine and rainbows. This should not look like responding to every inquiry immediately, because if you don't respond fast enough, the client goes somewhere else. Who cares? If every project requires you to be in the room for it to move forward, or every deliverable requires your direct involvement at every stage, or every client relationship is maintained through your personal presence and energy, that's too much. That all can work until it doesn't. When do you take a break? What happens when you are needed elsewhere? Like during the summer, or a family emergency, or when you get sick, or when you go on a trip. This is when the design of the business becomes impossible to ignore, because a business built entirely on your presence has no plan for when you're not there. Life doesn't care about your business. Why do we keep doing this? The panic around slowing down is so real. When our revenue is tied to our presence, money is tied to our time, slowing down is not a choice that feels neutral. It feels like a financial threat. If you're not actively working, checking emails on vacation, responding to text messages from clients immediately, never fully disconnecting, you might feel like you are neglecting your job. That's not a mindset thing. That's a structure issue hiding behind mindset. People tell business owners to set better boundaries, protect their time, be more intentional. All true. The underlying issue, though, is that the business has no mechanism for generating value when the owner is not actively working. There's no structure that keeps things moving when they step back. Telling someone to slow down when their business has no way of functioning without them is bad advice. You need to build something that can work when you are not. Let me be specific about what I mean by delivery models that break when you're not present, because I think it is worth naming clearly so people can see their own business in it. So there's the always-on service model. This is the model where the client availability is the product, where being reachable, responsive, and present is baked into what you sell. It works when you can sustain it. It breaks the second you can. When you're sick, when a family emergency happens, or a season that requires you to be somewhere else. There's no version of this model that survives your absence intact. There's the live-only delivery model. Every call, every session, every deliverable happens live. Nothing is recorded. Nothing is documented. Nothing exists outside of your real-time presence. The moment you are not there, delivery stops. The client experience just degrades. If you need to pause for any reason, there is nothing to hand off to anybody and nothing to continue without you. There's the referral dependent model. Revenue comes in almost entirely through referrals and relationships, which means it requires constant maintenance of those relationships. The moment you step back from networking, from being visible, from being in the conversation, the pipeline quietly starts to empty. By the time you return, months of lead time has been lost. Then there's the custom everything model. No systems, no templates, no repeatable processes. Every project starts at zero. My God, that sounds exhausting just saying it. This model is exhausting under normal circumstances. During a life change, it becomes impossible because there's nothing that is a system. There's nothing to delegate. You don't know what to tell people to do because there's no system here. Nothing can run without you and your full creative mind because you don't have anything. None of these models are wrong, but they are how a lot of service-based businesses start. They are how expertise gets translated into revenue before anyone has had time or space to build anything. A lot of us who have been in business for over 5 years or over a couple of years, hopefully for any amount of time, have something that's more sustainable, but at some point, and Summer has a great way of doing this, the model you start with has to evolve. Not because you have done something wrong, but because you have grown. What you have built in the beginning was not designed for where you are now. We talk about that a lot on this show. Your business evolves. Life changes, your business grows, you change. It all evolves. But what doesn't get talked about enough in the online business world and in business conversations is when your life changes. It probably has several times already since you started your business. It will keep changing in ways you plan for, ways you don't plan for. The kids grow up. You need different things at different stages. Your health shifts. Life has a way of lifing. Your priorities shift, and the version of you that started this business is not the same version of you running it today. The business model that made sense at the beginning may not make sense for the chapter you're in today. This is not a conversation about being a parent, being a mom, not being a mother, or any particular version of what life looks like. This is a conversation about how life evolves. And businesses that cannot evolve with it become a source of pressure instead of a source of possibility. The way my business has evolved in the 7.5 years since I started it is crazy. I don't even do the same thing I did when I started my business. My life has changed drastically since when I started my business. Summer is one of the clearest examples for this. And for a lot of us preparing for our kids being out for summer, we all prepare for the summer slowdown and the summer shift. It's just a different schedule. The school year creates a structure. There's a rhythm to it. There's predictable hours with predictable boundaries. Summer completely dissolves that structure. The kids are home, the camps are expensive and sporadic. There's family trips that require planning and presence. The routine that held everything together in place is suddenly, poof, gone. If your business was built around that routine, built around a very specific kind of availability in certain time windows, summer can feel inconvenient. It feels a little bit threatening to your work routine. Here's what I want to offer instead. Summer doesn't have to be something you survive because there's so much fun to it. It can be the season that finally prompts you to build the thing you have been putting off, and you know what I'm going to tell you to do. The thing that lets your business breathe. And you too. Not next year, not the one day, not the someday, not the I don't know when I need it. Because the kids are almost out of school and the season is already coming, whether the business is ready or not, whether you're ready or not. But I have to say, there's so many reasons why entrepreneurs build businesses this way, especially women, especially service providers. A lot of us build businesses around being helpful, responsive, available, and needed because it's in our nature. Somewhere along the way, accessibility became tied to value, and I think that's BS. The faster you respond, just stop. You don't need to respond faster. The more hands-on you are, the more people need you, the more successful you feel. But that creates a really dangerous business model for your own personal health because your business starts depending on your energy instead of your systems. A lot of us fear slowing down. We fear stepping back because we think our clients will leave, our sales will slow down, people will forget about us, results will drop. So we keep ourselves deeply, deeply entrenched in our business. And I know it's your baby. I know that you're deeply entrenched in your business, but there's a way to create systems so that you are not involved in every little tiny bit of it. Because right now, a lot of us are involved in every single part of our business, even parts that don't require us to be. Mature businesses are designed differently. They're not cold and they're not disconnected, but they're structured. They reduce unnecessary dependency on the business owner. Not because we're not valuable, but because our expertise matters more in certain places than others. We don't need to be involved in every little tiny little thing. We did that in the beginning when we first started our business. The shift is that we don't need to personally deliver every single piece of information inside of our business. We're not a baby business owner anymore. Our expertise matters the most in decision making because we're the boss, in the strategy, in the interpretation, in the feedback, in the pattern recognition, in the nuanced support. But there are other parts of our business that we don't need to be a part of every single time, like onboarding, hello digital products, repeated explanations, hi digital products, prep instructions, FAQs, process walkthroughs, foundational teaching. That's where the digital resources can change your world. Let's say you're a website designer. Every new client is going to get a kickoff call or content guidance or timeline expectations or platform tutorials. Now imagine summer hits. Your kids are home. You want more flexibility. You want to go to the pool. You want to hang out with your kids. But your calendar is still packed with calls explaining the same freaking things over and over again. That's not a summer problem. That's a business design issue. Because those repeated explanations could become onboarding videos, mini tutorials, client prep resources, structured guides. Now, instead of starting every client relationship from zero and going through your client calls that your kids could probably do because they've heard you say it so many times, your business now supports the process. That's something you're carrying through the whole year. It's not about removing yourself completely. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to take you out of the equation. That's not what we're doing. This is not about becoming a robotic business owner and becoming cold. People still want your expertise. They want your perspective. They still want you. But they don't need you repeating the same onboarding explanation 15 times a month. And honestly, that repetition is probably draining your creativity more than you realize. Those calls are probably boring you out of your mind. You just don't realize it. This is where most people misunderstand digital products. I know you've heard it from me, but I'm going to say it again. They think course, passive income, huge launch. Oh my gosh, I don't have time for that. But some of the most useful digital assets are so much simpler. They're checklists, a walkthrough, a short training, a client prep guide. Those things that start internal can then be built upon for larger digital products. Those things improve your client experience. They reduce that repetitive work. They create that consistency. They free up that mental space and eventually become part of your larger digital learning ecosystem inside your business. And you're hanging out at the pool. So what does this actually look like to build a business that doesn't fall apart when your life gets hard or when you want to be hanging out with your kids this summer. It looks like having something in your business that keeps delivering value when you're not actually delivering it all the time. That's the core of everything we have been talking about across this entire podcast for the last year. Digital assets, microlearning, structured guides, mini courses, frameworks, documented process. They're not just revenue streams. They are the infrastructure that gives your business the breathing room that you need. Your business is doing something valuable without requiring your real-time presence. That is not passive income in the fantasy sense. Your availability stops being the product. When you have digital assets that carry part of the delivery, you're not selling access to you at all hours. You're selling access to your expertise in a form that does not require you to be on the other end of it. That changes what clients expect, what you can offer, and what you can protect. Your revenue now has more than one channel. When you have when a digital product exists, a slow week in client work doesn't mean a slow week in revenue. The product doesn't take a vacation. It doesn't have school pickup. It doesn't need to be at full energy to perform. It runs on the work you already did. Your knowledge now outlasts your availability. The onboarding explanation you have given 100 times, the framework you walk every new client through, the answers to the questions you get asked before every project starts, when those things live in a product, they keep working even when you're at the beach or the pool, even when you're in the middle of May-cember trying to survive, even when you're taking the summer slower than usual and giving yourself permission to do that. This is what we have been building toward in recurring income, in automatic income. It's not a business that runs entirely without you, but a business that has enough infrastructure, a strong infrastructure. It doesn't require you to be at full capacity, fully available, fully on every single day in order to keep functioning. That's the difference between a business that punishes you for having a life and one that was built to accommodate it. If you want this season of summer, the summer slowdown to feel a little different, or if you want to actually take a week off without your stomach dropping every time you close your laptop, here's what we're going to look at. First thing is to identify what breaks when you slow down. Before you build anything, get honest about what the weak points are. What is the thing that would fall apart first if you stepped back for 2 weeks from your business? Is it the pipeline, that nothing's coming in without you actively networking? Is it the delivery? Projects stall out without you moving them forward? Is it the client communication? Relationships require your constant personal attention to hold. What is that specific thing that keeps you from being able to slow down? That's your starting point. Not the general feeling of business anxiety, but what's this specific structural gap? Find the one thing you repeat and document it this week. Go back to what we talked about in episode 140, the onboarding explanation, the prep conversation, the same questions you answer before every project. Pick one this week. Turn it into something that does not require you to be live to deliver it. One recorded walkthrough, one written guide, one short video, something that can be sent instead of said. That one thing is not going to transform your business overnight, but it does start that shift. And that shift is what's going to help you out. Then you're going to set one real boundary for this summer and build something to hold it. Not this like vague intention. I'm going to check my email less. We're not going to do that. But a real boundary with real structure behind it. If you want to take Fridays off, what has to happen for you to be able to do that? What needs to be automated? What needs to be documented or handed off? Build that thing. The boundary is not going to happen if you don't have the structure in place. Look at your digital assets as infrastructure, not as extras. Digital assets, digital products, they are not an afterthought. Every microlearning, every guide, every structured resource that takes something off your calendar is a piece of the system that lets your business breathe. Start looking at them that way, because when you see them as extras, they are going to stay on your to-do list forever and keep getting pushed to the bottom, like they have been for years. when you see them as infrastructure, as the thing that makes this summer different from last summer, they become a little more urgent in the right way. If you want to look at the full picture, what you have already built, where the gaps are, what piece of the infrastructure your business actually needs right now to give you more room, that's what the digital product infrastructure audit is designed to do. It's a deep dive into your business, real look at what's going on. Check out the link in the show notes. You are allowed to build a business that works differently in different seasons of your life, especially the summer, especially when your priorities shift. If your business is punishing you every time you slow down, or if you're trying to have a life, it's not a personal failure. It's a signal that your business needs more support than just you. Why not build in more breathing room? Isn't that what the whole point of having your own business is? Your business is not supposed to punish you for having a life, because you should be out living it. So design it that way. You're the boss. Design your business to work for you, not against you. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. If this episode hit home, your next step isn't to build anything. It's to audit what you already have. I offer a paid infrastructure audit where I review your current offers, delivery load, and where your business is relying too heavily on you. You'll get a clear decision doc and a Loom walkthrough outlining what actually makes sense next. The link is in the show notes.